I think there are two things about Jorge Mario Bergoglio's life which have formed his spirituality. The first is his background. He is the son of Italian immigrants to Buenos Aires, lower middle class people who left everything in hope of a better future. So he's always had this deep identification with the people, el pueblo. And he's never wanted to lose that. One might say, even when he became a very important Jesuit, he had if you like, a slight obsession with remaining part of the people, because Christ is in the people, Christ is in the poor. It's Matthew 25, it's the Beatitudes.
Through a moment of silence, a symbolic image, a gentle gesture, we are touched. These signs tell us that God is near, at the heart of our existence. The Argentinian people express their faith using this type of symbolic language, a language that is often present in the Gospel. This is also the language of Pope Francis. How did the life of Jorge Bergoglio prepare him to become Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope and the first pope from Latin America? How is this spiritual leader reforming the Church?
At the heart of Francis's spirituality is the incarnation. Yeah? That means a God who is close and concrete here, now, in our lives, not an abstraction. Hence his insistence all the time on what he calls closeness and concreteness. The Church has to be close, has to be merciful, has to be warm, has to be welcoming. It has to communicate what God is. The institutional Church shouldn't start to speak a language, for example, a grammar, that is too distinct from the way that ordinary people think and speak, because actually Christ is incarnate in that people at that time with that language.
Él habla también de la ternura, la revolución de la ternura, y que Dios tiene ternura con nosotros. En cambio, con metáforas, con gestos, a veces basta el gesto, ¿no? Él comunica lo que él quiere comunicar, que es, en el fondo, la misericordia.
The members of the Christian Life Community, CLC, while discovering the spiritual path of Jorge Bergoglio, visit the convent where Jorge was taught catechism by the Sisters of Mercy. In this place, for the young Jorge, the word mercy became incarnated.
La hermana Dolores era su madre espiritual, fue la que lo preparó desde la comunión hasta el día de su ordenación sacerdotal, y él venía a verla con mucha regularidad, porque bueno, se querían mucho, y él estuvo el día de su muerte también. Yo creo que él pudo palpar el trazo más fino de la misericordia en las hermanas. Creo que fue algo que él palpó y por eso también lo hizo muy suyo, es su lema, ¿no? Dios lo miró con misericordia y lo eligió. En la misericordia se encierra todo el amor de Dios, así que yo creo que él también lo hace vida con lo que dice y hace.
Mercy is the beating heart of the gospel. It is the pillar that supports the life of the Church. In short, the mercy of God is not an abstract idea, but a concrete reality, with which he reveals his love as that of a father or a mother, moved to the very depths out of love for their child.
The second element, I think, which is absolutely key, is discernment, the thing which, of course, attracted him to the Jesuits and which he is a master himself at.
When he was a student in Argentina, one day the young Bergoglio went to a party with his friends. On the way, he decided to make a stop at his parish church.
He had an overwhelming experience of God's mercy in the Basilica of Flores in Buenos Aires, where he grew up. Something drew him to the confessional that day. He had an overwhelming experience which changed him, which he said was like being thrown from a horse. And it led him eventually to become a priest. But the important thing is this: afterwards, he was able to talk to the priest who he had confessed to. For a whole year, they met to discuss that experience and to discern what the Holy Spirit was saying to the young Jorge through that.
During the confession, something special happened. I don't know what it was, but it changed my life. I would say I was taken by surprise. It was a surprise. The amazement of an encounter. I realized that I was expected. It was what we call a religious experience.
For Bergoglio, the whole religious experience, what he calls the encuentro fundante de nuestra fe, the foundational encounter of our faith, is the encounter with the God of mercy. And you can only experience the God of mercy in concrete lives of the poor, just as in our own lives. This is a very Ignatian idea.
Finding God in all things, in the practical aspects of every person's life, Pope Francis teaches us that every person, whoever they may be, receives the grace of God in their life. Pope Francis experienced this grace for himself while being spiritually accompanied during his youth. And today, the Pope is asking the Church to offer guidance to people, to help them review their own experiences and to understand how God is present in those experiences. The members of the Christian Life community came together in the Colegio Máximo de San Jose in the city of San Miguel, the college where Father Bergoglio studied in the beginning of his Jesuit life.
Ici était la chambre de Père Jorge Mario Bergoglio. Bueno, écrit avec sa mère. Bergoglio dévoué à Saint Joseph, mais surtout l'image de Saint Joseph qu'il vénérait.
C'est le songe de Joseph.
Parce qu'il est endormant. Parce que les révélations de Joseph étaient dans les songes. Non? Ici aussi, il était jeune, avec le Père Fiorito. Était très important le Père Fiorito parce qu'il était spécialiste dans les exercices spirituels. Il a influé beaucoup Bergoglio. Es jesuita y por lo tanto ha recibido de los ejercicios espirituales de San Ignacio la práctica y el carisma del discernimiento espiritual, y creo que eso le ayuda no solamente para su vida personal o para una dirección espiritual, una ayuda espiritual a las personas, sino también para el gobierno de la Iglesia. El Concilio Vaticano II nos dice que es deber de la Iglesia auscultar los signos de los tiempos y discernirlos a la luz del Evangelio. Es decir, que la Iglesia, desde el Papa, pero hasta cada cristiano, tenemos que buscar y encontrar qué quiere Dios para nosotros.
In today's turbulent society, Pope Francis invites every Christian to develop their own ability to discern. Through the spiritual exercises, St Ignatius asks us to contemplate the different stages of the life of Christ, let them resonate in us, and allow them to transform the depth of our being.
El tema del corazón, en el sentido pascaliano, es muy importante para el discernimiento porque juega la afectividad profunda.
At its core, holiness consists in uniting ourselves to the Lord's death and resurrection in a unique and personal way, constantly dying and rising anew with Him. The contemplation of these mysteries, as St Ignatius of Loyola pointed out, leads us to incarnate them in our choices and attitudes. Always ask the Spirit what Jesus expects from you at every moment of your life.
El Papa tiene una raíz muy profunda en esa experiencia del discernimiento. La primera condición para un discernimiento es la libertad interior. Así comienzan los ejercicios espirituales de San Ignacio. Él lo llama principio y fundamento. El principio y fundamento simplemente es reconocer que el único absoluto es Dios y que si reconocemos a Dios como absoluto, estamos libres de cualquier otro apego, de cualquier otra necesidad. Entonces somos libres de escoger lo que más conviene para dirigir a Dios.
At a young age, he was named Provincial Superior of the Society of Jesus in Argentina. Father Bergoglio listened to the signs of those times and saw a matter of absolute urgency. Argentina, a dictatorship at the time, was embroiled in the dirty war. Under the pretext of saving Western Christian civilization, the junta attacked all its opponents. 30,000 persons disappeared, 15,000 were shot, and 1.5 million were exiled. This was a high-risk period for the young provincial superior because, like the Church and the rest of Argentinian society, the Jesuit province was divided. But Father Bergoglio showed great wisdom, sometimes seeking to dialogue, sometimes remaining prudent and silent. Indeed, he showed discretion to the point of risking being misunderstood by both sides.
One of the things that happened in the 1970s and particularly in the early 1980s when he was rector here was that the place was full of young Jesuits. Actually, it was a very austere regime, very, very prayerful, very based on the exercises, examine, twice a day. This was a time of renewal in the Society of Jesus where they were recovering the original primitive Ignatian charism. But one thing I think we can say, it was very attractive and it was compelling, and it was, one might say, also very appropriate for the time, given the dangers of social and political involvement out there.
With the Jesuits, in order to fight against extremist ideologies, Father Bergoglio emphasized the religious experience. Going back to the origins of the Society of Jesus, he proposed, like St Ignatius, two main ways of meeting with God: spiritual exercises and, what naturally follows the exercises, living among the poor.
Bergoglio wanted his young Jesuits to experience God in the lives of ordinary people. So here from this college, he would send the young Jesuits out into the pueblo. When they came back, he wanted to see the soles of their shoes, to check that they had the mud and the dust of the barrio on their shoes. He wanted to hear from the daily lives what's happening out there in the people, to experience the relationship with God through the pastoral relationship with the people. In Rome, they said, what is it that they're doing in Argentina that we're not doing? Why is it that in Argentina they have so many vocations? And this is where the controversy begins, because he achieved this by isolating the Jesuits in Argentina from the Society of Jesus in the rest of Latin America. He did not want them going down the way of liberation theology, of Marxist sociological analysis. Option for the poor, yes, absolutely. But within terms of their own culture and in terms of their own history, not using abstract imported categories. He was sidelined and a new model came into being, which was very controversial among young Jesuits. The ferment that this created resulted in the authorities of the Jesuits at the time wanting to take Bergoglio completely out of the picture. So they sent him to Córdoba, to the Jesuit community there, gave him no role. He had no role. He occasionally heard confessions, but actually mostly what he did was attend to the elderly people in the house, the elderly Jesuits in the house, for 2 years.
Aquí fundamentalmente rezaba, pasaba muchas horas confesando en la iglesia y escribiendo. Fue un tiempo así de casi una vida monacal, digamos, ¿no? A la vez también de mucho servicio en la cocina, un hombre que apenas veía un espacio, cubría espacios allí en la enfermería, en la portería, un hombre en eso de una delicadeza muy grande, ¿no? Bergoglio podía, si un cura estaba enfermo, se podía quedar las noches enteras cuidando, si el cocinero se sentía mal, lo mandaba a su casa o le decía que se vaya y se quedaba él cocinando. Pero es un hombre que las decisiones y su modo de proceder brotan de la oración.
El tiempo de Córdoba fue un tiempo de combate espiritual seguramente, y decir, no creo que sea un lugar donde él lo descubre, porque es un hombre en el fondo profundamente silencioso interiormente, ¿no?
Fue un tiempo de exilio, de desierto, pero se dice que en las almas grandes los exilios se convierten en éxodos, ¿eh? Y Saint Exupéry decía que los desiertos a las almas grandes, en vez de fulminarlas, las hace crecer.
Hard times may come when the cross casts its shadow. Yet nothing can destroy the supernatural joy that is born of our personal certainty that, when everything is said and done, we are infinitely loved. God wished to enter history, and so our prayer is interwoven with memories. We think back not only on his revealed word, but also on our own lives, the lives of others, and all that the Lord has done in his church. This is the grateful memory to which St Ignatius of Loyola refers, when he asks us to be mindful of all the blessings we have received from the Lord. Think of your own history when you pray, and there you will find much mercy.
One thing he learned in Córdoba was patience, and that's become a very, very important virtue for him. Santa paciencia. What is patience? Patience is operating within human limits, which after all, again, is the story of the incarnation.
After his exile in Córdoba, Bergoglio was called to be a bishop and then an archbishop of Buenos Aires. There, he encouraged church life in underserved areas. In 2007, during a meeting of Latin American bishops at Aparecida, he became an international figure.
A crucial moment in the life of Bergoglio, the public life, before he became Pope, was the big meeting of the Latin American Church at Aparecida. That meeting produced a crucial document, which is the basis of this papacy, the basis of Evangelii Gaudium. And Bergoglio was the principal author. He had a team of Argentine theologians there who really drafted the whole section in Aparecida on popular devotion and popular religiosity. That was the big Argentine contribution. But one might say that Aparecida produces the idea, the vision of a missionary and pastoral conversion that was needed in the church worldwide. At the heart of Aparecida, at the heart of Evangelii Gaudium, is the idea of the church that goes out, la iglesia en salida.
In San Miguel, the mission of the parish, founded in the 1980s by Father Bergoglio, remains at the heart of parish life.
El Día de Misión tiene la finalidad de compartir fe y vida con las comunidades de aquí, con las familias de aquí, con familias que viven y trabajan, que luchan para salir adelante, con familias que en el medio de todo viven su fe, a veces lejos de la iglesia formal, pero con la iglesia viva en su corazón, con la fe viva de Jesús en su corazón. Entonces el día es un día para recibir lo que cada uno puede dar, como dice la contemplación, para alcanzar amor, que el amor significa dar de lo que uno tiene y puede.
Let us go forth then, let us go forth to offer everyone the life of Jesus Christ. More than by fear of going astray, my hope is that we will be moved by the fear of remaining shut up within structures which give us a false sense of security, within rules which make us harsh judges, within habits which make us feel safe. While at our door people are starving, and Jesus does not tire of saying to us, give them something to eat.
Raúl, que tengan buen estadía y que Dios los bendiga grandemente.
Amén. Muchas gracias.
Miguel, me llamo.
¿Para qué vamos a...?
Espera que entren así, yo les traigo.
Bueno, ella es Lidia, el señor de allá es Miguel, el marido.
Son Mari Miguel.
Esto es un comedor donde vienen a comer los chicos. ¿Cuántos chicos más o menos?
Y vienen entre 26, 30 más.
Here, Miguel and Lydia don't just do catechism. They give their space, their time, and their talents. It is their way of embodying the gospel in their daily life. Twice a week, they open the doors of their small house and feed and care for the children of the neighborhood.
Hola Lidia. Hola mi vida. No estén acá porque está la sartén, ¿sabes? Hola. Hola pequeñín. Ahora les voy a servir la leche, ¿eh? Todavía falta caminar. Es lo que hay por ahora y estamos contentos porque es mucho progreso, así que lo aprovechamos. Para nosotros esto es algo nuevo porque teníamos muy chiquito y no entrábamos.
Bueno, acá le comento que es un lugar, hace 3 años que estamos trabajando.
Il fait 3 ans qu'il travaille avec ça.
Acá vivía mi mamá, que falleció hace 2 años. Y ella quiso que continuemos la obra acá, en el lugar donde ella vivía.
Que la continue son travail ici.
Mira. Oh.
No, vos también.
On n'a pas d'autre objectif que d'être ensemble et de s'accueillir les uns les autres.
Sur les 2 heures qu'ils nous ont rencontrés, eux, ils n'ont pas calculé.
L'amour est là. Tout le monde est prêt à donner et puis bon, il suffit de recevoir et puis on trouve la joie.
As Pope Francis let himself be continually converted, he invites the Church to do the same, to be in constant reform. He also invites us to become receptive to the way that God gives to each one of us. Pope Francis wants a church that is open, one that allows us to meet our neighbor and to meet God. Centered on Christ and turned towards its mission, the church can be a witness of joy. From the Gospel of Mark. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Simon and his companions went to look for him. And when they found him, they exclaimed, "Everyone is looking for you." Jesus replied, "Let us go somewhere else, to the nearby villages, so I can preach there also. That is why I have come." Lord, teach us to listen to the Holy Spirit. May the Holy Spirit send the members of your church out to meet all our brothers and sisters and be witnesses of joy